Have you ever faced a situation where your code just doesn't behave the way you expect? It's frustrating, isn't it? If you're dealing with mapping null elements in a list using Orika, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to unravel this issue together. I totally get it. You write your code, and then it seems like it has a mind of its own. You're not alone in this struggle. Many developers encounter issues when trying to map objects, especially when null values are involved. Here's the specific question we're addressing today. One user asked how to configure Orika to ensure that when mapping two objects of the same class, the target object remains unchanged if the source object contains a null value. Sound familiar? Let's dive into the details. So what's the challenge here? When you map objects in Orika, you want to ensure that null values in the source do not overwrite existing values in the target. This is a common scenario, especially when dealing with lists of objects. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a pro tip that can save you time and headaches when working with object mapping. To configure Orika for mapping null elements in the list, the user should start by creating a custom mapping for the inner class AA. This will ensure that null values are handled correctly during the mapping process. Next, the user needs to set up the mapping for the outer class A. This involves customizing the mapping to ensure that the list of AA objects is processed correctly. In this customization, the user overrides the map_at method. This method will handle the mapping of the AA list from the first object to the second object, ensuring that null values do not overwrite existing values. Finally, the user should test the mapping to confirm that it behaves as expected. They can create instances of A and use the mapper to map between them, checking the results. Fun fact, did you know that the concept of null values in programming was introduced to help avoid errors? But sometimes they can create more confusion than clarity. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution provided by a user involves modifying the mapping configuration in Orika. They suggest creating a custom mapper that filters out null elements from the source list before merging it with the destination list. They also note that the default mapping behavior should be disabled by removing the by default method to ensure the custom logic is applied correctly. Here's the pro tip I promised. Always test your mappings with various scenarios, including null values. This will help you catch any unexpected behavior early on. And there you have it. You should now be able to map your objects without worrying about null values overwriting your data. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more coding tips and tricks. And remember, practice makes perfect.